All right, we're back here with Barry. Barry, where's your property located at?
North of St Arnaud on Witcher-Proof Road.
And how is your property being affected by this VNI West project?
Well, we got proposed VNI West transmission lines through the property, and we've got good cropping ground, and it's going to be extremely hard to farm around the towers, and we're going to have, of course, the risk of fire and access to the properties. You know, some of the lines go across the gateways, so theoretically, TCV or VicGrid, if you might say, can change the rules and say that you can't come on this property right now, and we need to get in there to spray the paddock, we need to get in to work the paddock, sow the crop, harvest the crop. So it's going to make it extremely hard for us to farm into the future. And, basically we just don't think that the power lines are necessary. And I think that the sooner that people realise that, the better. There's other alternatives to do rather than build these transmission lines. And people would be realising, everyone would realise when they open their power bill on their kitchen table, how much they're increasing by, despite what governments and politicians are saying about how power price coming down. People know their prices aren't coming down. They open up the power bill, it's rising. The latest reports out last week suggest that over the next 10 years, next decade, power prices are going to increase dramatically. Now, in my mind, this is all because we as individuals are paying for this stupid transmission line, stupid transition to renewable energy, so to speak. It's not renewable energy. We're paying the cost. You don't get free power out of the sun through the power point. You have to have an enormous cost to produce that power into usable power. There's other alternatives, and I think that the governments will realise pretty soon that we can't keep forcing people. Cost of living is killing people, and something has to change. We've come from a situation in Australia where we had the cheapest power in the world, and now we're selling power to Japan. Their power is cheaper than ours, and we're selling power to them. It's just ludicrous what's going on.
And how big's your farm, Barry?
Oh, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 hectares all up. I've got a couple of sons home on the farm, so
you're a multi-generational farmer as well.
Multi-generational.
How many generations on the farm so far?
I've got a grandson now, the fifth generation.
Fifth generation.
And he's working on the farm. So, it's quite devastating what it's doing to our community. So you can see the support here today. It's enormous support. We're getting people from all over the place supporting us, and people from Melbourne are starting to realise how important this all is, and how it's affecting our lives, affecting our communities. And if we aren't stopped from farming the way we normally farm, it's going to be quite devastating to the whole chain of cost, the chain of producing food for the nation. That's what we do. Yeah. We're not power producers, and we've got other alternatives. Lots of.
How has the consultation between VicGrid, TCV, and yourself been?
Terrible. Look, I'm on a CRG, which is Community Reference Group body, which is the representation of farmers across our communities. There's 13, I think it was, on the committee. We've been on that committee for 2 years and set up by TCV, Transmission Company Victoria, to work through the issues to make it better. We're constantly getting pushback all the time. We have to argue all the time to try and just get our minutes sent to the Minister for Energy, Leda D'Ambrosio, because we feel that she should know what the community thinks, what we think, how this may or may not work. And we battle all the time to get our point of view over. It's just purely a tick-the-box exercise to say they've consulted with the farming community and we're going to push it through regardless. It doesn't matter.
Now, I know that sometimes there's confidentiality clauses in terms of compensation. Do you, in your opinion, do you think the compensation offered to you has been adequate?
It's just ridiculous. This process originally was estimated by Alistair Parker, head of VicGrid, to cost $3.2 billion for 220 kilometres of line. Only a few months ago, they come out with a statement that it's going to cost in excess of $7.4 billion, and now they're indicating that it could cost over $11 billion. Now, they're talking about giving compensation. It's about $200 million compensation to communities for the 220 kilometre line. The project's going to cost over $11 billion. Like, it's just senseless. And people are saying, I think originally farmers would have taken the money, but because we found out all the problems we're going to associate with the line, like insurance, no farmer should have to be liable for the insurance. If anything goes wrong, a fire starts and it burns out the neighbour, we shouldn't have any responsibility. The government want this power line. Why should we have to bear the brunt of insurance? Why should we have to bear the brunt? It's not our problem. It shouldn't be our problem. And we've got biosecurity issues. It's so many issues that will not be addressed and aren't being addressed, despite the fact we've been talking about this for 2 years.
Now, a few weeks ago, Parliament or government got through a bill that would impose fines if you were to oppose a court order. Considering that we have enormous community support for this, are farmers, and I've asked James this before, are farmers willing to defy those court orders and potentially face massive fines?
They are. There's no question about that. There was 90 odd people at our thing this morning here, and people from all over the place, and there's no one is going to let them on. Farmers are prepared to stand at the gate and not let the authorities on. They're going to say, we are going to wear the fine if we have to, we're not going to let you on our property. That's it. So people are quite resolute about that, you know.
What message would you say to, especially those crossbench MPs in the upper house, and some of them who are country representatives, what message would you have for them, especially them, for actually voting in favour of that bill?
Look, we need to have some common sense prevail in our parliament, some common sense that says that, you know, there are other alternatives. We shouldn't be forcing these issues, these stupid transmission lines through, and they need to realise we've had for start, we had Lily D'Ambrosio ask Vicgrid to come up with the transmission, the amendments to the transmission bill. Vicgrid sorted out the transmission, changed the transmission bill. They gave those changes to the government, and the government pushed them through, which gives Vicgrid all the powers. Now, talk about an in-house job. It's one arm saying, we want this power, you give us this power, and we can do what we like. And that's basically what they say they can do. They're going to get enough power to do what they like, Vicgrid, despite what all the community say. And we've got all the community on our side. There's no question about that. So I don't know how the politicians are going to be able to stand that in the end.
No, I understand, Barry. Thank you very much for your time today.
No trouble.
We've got plenty plenty of other places to go to.
We have.
But thank you very much for your time.
No trouble.
And we'll have to catch up soon.
Anytime.
Good on you, mate. Cheers.
Thank you.